Domino's Hotshots number 1. First of all, Gail Simone has serious issues with men. She doesn't seem to hate them, but she has a chip on her shoulder about natural gender roles. Hey, no problem, Gail. Write whatever you want, as long as sales are good. Sales are good, right? Cover has some large-breasted women. For some reason, the center looks like Michael Jackson with implants. Notice one thing about the cover. What do these women have in common? That is an unfortunate bear costume. They all look obviously like women. It's funny, the preamble story is the most interesting part of the comic because then it doesn't involve the main characters. It involves just normal people. The interior shots are drawn much less visually appealing, shall I say. The characters meet and drink espresso in Paris. Two ladies who just scowl at each other the whole time. They don't look like superheroes. They look like normal people. Superheroes look super. They have extraordinary bodies, extraordinary abilities. These just look like soccer moms, substitute teachers. They effortlessly dispatch the goons. Just there's no conflict. It's over before it starts. The females are drawn basically as short men. No hips, no breasts. You don't want to make the reader feel bad, so they make the characters look like mediocre soccer moms. Then they introduce the team, who continue to scowl their way through the whole comic. If you look at their faces, they're scowling through almost every scene. The strong cowgirl character, she looks like an underwear model. That's one of the problems of having women play these roles. Usually strong male characters are bulging with muscles. You can't do this with females, or it looks silly. So it removes one of the visual elements of storytelling. Big muscles equal power. Women don't have big muscles, so we have to accept the fact that their power is coming from some other source. It hurts the willing suspension of disbelief. But Gail Simone and the woke comics crowd don't really have an answer for this. If you point it out, you're a sexist, or like, whatever. The characters are all war veterans, okay, because women have historically been such effective combat soldiers. Actually, women in their teens and 20s are usually mothers, busy raising kids during their narrow fertility window. It's another blow to the willing suspension of disbelief. The artist is careful to make the women look as much like skinny men as possible for some reason. If you want to draw breastless people, you should just draw men. Women have breasts and hips. It's part of what makes them women. Men are just like women, except they're taller, have muscles, and also don't have breasts. Plus, they can take high-risk jobs because they don't spend decades having and raising children. But don't let biology get in the way of a bad story. Gail also makes sure to take a little dig at religion, because religion is haram in her circles. There's a scene, the silly Billy Cat scene. I could just do without that. The scene of the 100-pound women attacking Johnny Mnemonic is a bit underwhelming, because they're 100-pound women. Visually, it doesn't tell much of a story. It doesn't jump off the page. Call it Attack of the B Cups. Deadpool arrives at the end to remind the audience what an interesting character looks like. A kid reading the comic sees Deadpool and instantly wishes they were reading a Deadpool comic instead. Another weird thing the artist, David Baldion, does, he hides the character's breasts as much as possible. Even the girls who were drawn sexy in other books go down a few cup sizes in this book. Why? Because sex sells, and sales are for evil, greedy capitalists. Down with the bourgeoisie, right, Gail? The power of the proletariat or something. Apparently, this isn't a comic book meant to tell a story. It's just sort of an inspiration for cosplay. If you look at the letters in the back, you see what I mean. What's the point of this comic? It's a feminist passion project for Gail. It's trying to sell female characters to young girls who don't buy comics. It's an attempt to flip the classic hero team-up on its head and replace the men with women. I know it's not politically correct, but using girls in these roles doesn't work. It goes against millions of years of biologically enforced gender rules. In the back of the reader's mind, they're thinking, is the girl going to meet the boy, get married, and have a bunch of kids? Seeing a young woman in these roles strikes a discordant note with the viewer. It creates tension that is usually resolved by a bit of romance. Guy gets the girl, they team up, they have kids, they live happily ever after. One of the reasons Harley Quinn and Black Widow works is because the reader doesn't expect them to have kids and settle down. They are crazy characters unsuited to motherhood, which is ironic because they have typically feminine features, huge breasts and hips. Anyway, that's Hotshots number 1. It's pure feminist propaganda written by a cultist and hopefully read by nobody.